The crew of the guided missile destroyer USS Carney, operating in the northern Red Sea earlier today, shot down 3 land attack cruise missiles and several drones that were launched by Houthi forces in Yemen. This action was a demonstration of the integrated air and missile defense architecture that we have built in the Middle East and that we are prepared to utilize whenever necessary to protect our partners and our interests in this important region. There were no casualties to U.S. forces and none that we know of to any civilians on the ground. Information about these engagements is still being processed. We cannot say for certain what these missiles and drones were targeting, but they were launched from Yemen, heading north along the Red Sea, potentially towards targets in Israel.
Well, let's speak now to Mahmoud Abdul-Wahid, our correspondent there, who joins us from Baghdad. Mahmoud, I see there are no details from the Pentagon on what's just happened at al-Asad. What do we know at this stage?
Well, this is the third attack targeting a U.S. military facility in less than 24 hours. On Wednesday, 2 military bases, the al-Asad, this is the same military base that was targeted today, and Al-Harir military base, which is home to U.S. forces in northern Iraq, were also targeted by drones and missiles. Now, military factions backed by Iran have been recently threatening to target U.S. military facilities in case the United States continues supporting and backing Israel on its military campaign against Gaza. Now, today's attack, according to security sources in the Anbar province, that's in western Iraq, where the military base is located, say that several explosions were heard in front of the al-Asad military base. It is not known for certain until as of yet whether or not this attack, today's attack, has caused damage or casualties inside al-Asad military base, which is home to U.S. and international military personnel. As you know, that many political and military factions in Iraq have been rising up against the military campaign by Israel in Gaza, threatening to take matters into their own hands, threatening to travel to the borders with Jordan and to mobilize there, and also threatening to attack military U.S. interests in Iraq in case it continues to support Israel.
Mahmoud Abdul-Wahid on that developing story for us with the latest. Thank you, Mahmoud. Let's now go to our correspondent, Patty Culhane in Washington, D.C. Patty, we've just heard from the Pentagon. Given what we've seen over the last week and over the last few hours, no details from them on that, how real, though, are the fears of escalation now?
They're very worried about escalation. I think you see that in how little they are talking about it and how few details they are giving. Obviously, we are hearing reports that that base in Iraq has been hit multiple times. It didn't even come up at the briefing. The briefing was delayed by about 45 minutes, so I assumed he was trying to get information to be able to relay that. But he is giving information about attacks that happened days ago. He said on the 18th in the early morning hours in Syria, there are about 900 U.S. troops in Syria, that 2 drones were sent into the garrison, as he called it. 1 was destroyed. 1 got in and said it caused some injuries. Didn't really go into detail about how many, which is somewhat unusual for the Pentagon. Then talking about those strikes my colleague was just talking about in Iraq. 2 drones, again, 1 destroyed. 1 did, they were able to damage it, but they said those 2 caused casualties. Didn't explain again what casualties, and then that other base in Iraq. So obviously trying to use very tempered language, because this is the concern in the United States. Polls show repeatedly that Americans are paying attention to what's going on, and they are gravely, 8 out of 10, very concerned that this could lead to a broader conflict. So I think in the fact that the information is not necessarily coming out quickly and that they're giving very little detail shows just how much they want to be able to send the message that the U.S. is not getting involved. Although I have to say, shooting down missiles from Yemen, a highly unusual move for the Pentagon. And when asked why they did that, what was the justification, he really couldn't answer it.
Patty, I'm curious about this because As you say, there hasn't been a great deal of information sharing. This isn't the first attack this week on al-Asad. I'm wondering what we should make of what looks like an escalation. I know he was asked about whether or not they were taking additional measures to keep their staff safe. Is there a growing concern that something might have to change in terms of U.S. presence?
I think the growing concern is going to be that these drones are actually causing injuries. You know, they've had for 20 years in Iraq, they set up all of these different systems to be able to knock things down out of the air. I was there; I could see like a howitzer sort of thing, fires multiple bullets per second. But the fact that the air warning system sounded, and in both cases, one drone was damaged and caused injuries, and another, the drone got through and caused injuries. So obviously the concern is going to be, can they actually protect their troops in the region? Because that would lead to a broader conflict. If a lot of Americans are killed, then you could easily see how this could escalate. So I think one of the questions they're going to be asking in the Pentagon is, how did this happen? Because obviously they've invested a lot of money on air defense systems in both Iraq and Syria.
Make sure to subscribe to a channel to the latest news from RDZ World News.